Welcome back to the Living Proof Recovery Podcast. We're your host. I'm Evan. This is Brian.
Late night session.
Late nights. Tonight, Brian's got a little topic for us, straight out of the book. So we will go ahead and jump right into it.
All right. So I heard something. The other day, and I thought it was so simple. And it was really good. In my heart, I was like, I had to write it down in my book. And I was thinking of how we could kind of bring this to talk about it tonight. And I was like, there's got to be a place in the book that talks about this specific situation. And I found it. Right.
Okay.
So it's in Bill's story. And I'm just going to read just a couple lines. I'm not going to bore anyone to death. But it's on page 14 and 15. It says, "Faith without works was dead," he said, "and how appallingly true for the alcoholic. For if the alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others," here's the key part, "he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead." Right, and I have written in my book here from when I first got sober that shit's coming, right? Like the low spots are coming, right? So what I heard the other day is downtime is prep time, right? So, and what that means is I can't wait till I get out of treatment or for the bad thing to happen to try to react to it and try to weather the storm and try to get through it without any tools or a raincoat or anything like that, right? Or any kind of plan of action. By the time it happens, it's too late. If I haven't done the prep work, right? So the downtime is the prep time, right? So, and that applies early in sobriety. I don't care if you're 5 years sober, 10 years sober, 30 years sober, because there's always something coming. And a lot of times, the longer you stay sober, it's new shit. It's not the same things that you've already prepped for. It's something new hits you right in the face. So it's like, while things aren't going on, in our lives, that's when we have to do the prep work. That way, when it does happen, we're ready. That make sense?
Yeah.
So and we can go in so many different avenues with this, like in early recovery, like what we have to do now, what we've done in the past. Anything like that. But downtime is the prep time, because you cannot wait for something bad to happen or just hope nothing bad ever happens to you, right? Because something bad's coming, whether it's you lose your job, your wife leaves you, I don't know, you get stressed out, whatever it is. Someone passes away, like all these things. Your dog dies, like something's happening. It's going to happen, and if you're not ready when it happens, man, you're in a bad spot. If you wait till that thing happens to go, oh, okay, now I need to, react and do what I need to do. It's like it's too late, man. Like you gotta have that stuff in place of what you need to do, a plan of action to take when things happen. But it takes practice. We were talking about that last night with Gary. Like you have to practice these things. That way, when the real event happens, you're prepared.
Right. Yeah. I guess, like you said, you can look at it so many different ways, but that's why it's so important to get to work early and fast. Yeah. Like we don't drag our feet through these steps. No. Like, we've talked about it before. I can't, it irks me when someone is a year and a half sober and I'm on step 6. And I'm like,
I was going to say 6.
I'm like, that's so dangerous, because like you said, that's prepping us for the storm that's coming. That's what this whole thing is about, right? And then even early on, thinking back to when I was in treatment, like obviously treatment was a downtime, right? That was a lot of downtime.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah. So for me, this last time when I went to treatment, like I had a sponsor before I went to treatment. You know, I had relapsed, and obviously he knew because I quit coming around, quit calling for a little while, and ended up calling him and telling him I was going to treatment. And that was one thing I was like, man, like I hadn't talked to him in a while, so it was like, man, I don't know if you're still willing to sponsor me. I'm going back into treatment right now. And pretty much, of course, he said, well, yeah. And so I'm like, is there anything you want me to do while I'm in there? And he's just like, no. Read the book. But we're not going to start actually doing step work. I'm not going to have you doing step work. So while I was in there, obviously, outside of groups and meetings that were brought in, you know, I did read the book, a couple times through, you know, the first 164. But, you know, for me, that downtime there prepping me was just getting my mental state right, you know, so I could be prepared to get to work as soon as I got out of there, you know what I mean, and just soak up as much as I could before I walked out those doors, because I knew that's when life was really going to show up, when I left that protective bubble.
Yeah, because let's be honest, like, we don't go to treatment, we don't go to an institution to become institutionalized, right? We go to a place like that to be put back on our feet, so that we can be put out back into society, so that we can get acclimated. We can be like, live life, right? And doesn't do me any good to go into treatment and not try to change.
Yeah.
And just sit there and just count the days down and don't make the days count. Right? Like, so while I'm there, there's so many ways that we can prep ourselves. You know, it's taking notes, ask questions.
Yeah, taking notes. I found,
you know, and a lot of things pop up in treatment, like whether it's to us or we see them happen to other people. Like somebody be like, oh man, I just got fired from my job, you know, or my wife's filed for divorce. It's like, oh shit, man, you know, like, what are you going to do when you walk out of here? You know, like, that's a good time, like, because we might not have 6 months before something pops up.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know when the shit's going to hit the fan. It might hit it tomorrow. For me, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and that's one of the things, like, when I was in treatment, obviously it was like, you know, I wasn't starting any step work. I know your sponsor at that time had you doing step work while you were in treatment.
Well, he was there.
Right. So it was
not
a little
a client.
Right.
He worked there.
Yeah. So
that's a little different.
A little different,
story.
But you know, for me, it was just like you said, taking notes and being involved and being present and on time. You know, holding myself accountable early on, not just forcing the staff
right
to be the ones holding me. I had to hold myself, learn some accountability for myself, you know what I mean? And then I fell into refuge and Dharma pretty heavy, and got involved in that, you know, and that played a big part early on for me, for my mental state. You know, that program helped me tremendously. But yeah, you know, and then even in real life, you know, treatment's obviously real life, but for me, it wasn't really. Life showed up, you know, after them 30 days were up this last time.
It smacks you right in the face when you walk out of there.
Yeah, you know, and I've lost family members and friends since then, and I've been put in some bad situations. Not, you know, just things that, you know, you and I, we've had certain situations arise along our journeys together, things we've had to face. And, you know, the old me, you know, I know what I would have done had I not done the work and prepared myself.
Gonna run up on somebody.
Yeah, for these situations. Several, you know.
Yeah.
I won't go into all the details, but, you know, and especially losing loved ones and friends, that was always the the easiest excuse to go out and
yeah.
go drink and drug. That was. Well, I'm sad. I'm depressed now.
Yeah.
I'm heartbroken. You know, that was easiest way to go out. You know, and then I've had situations where that has happened over these last 4+ years that the old me would have been ready to really put hands on somebody, and that
Right.
thought probably crossed my mind a time or two. But guess what? I wasn't gonna be that person anymore
Yeah.
because I prepared myself for these moments, right? I know
Yeah.
how to respond today. And I don't always respond maybe not even the correct way, but it's
Yeah.
better than I used to respond.
Yeah.
So it's progress, you know.
Right, but the way that you respond to that response is different,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like when I respond in that manner, it's like, that wasn't right.
Yeah.
Now I got to go back and fix it.
Yeah.
You know, and I try to avoid situations like that because there's nothing that I want to do less than go make amends to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do it. So I'm like, you know what? It's just not even worth saying what I want to say
Yeah.
because I don't want to have to go back and clean it up.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to say it.
Right.
Now, sometimes it might come out, you know,
Yeah.
but my response to that is different. Instead of digging my heels in and saying, no, I'm going to wait for them to come to me, you know, fuck them. No, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But something that we have to prepare for, I mean, there's like big life events, right? Death, you know, divorce, losing your job, things like that. But there's little things too, like just emotions, like feelings. Like, I've spent almost my whole life numbing how I feel, whether it's, or just stuffing it. One of the two, right? Whether before I started drinking, I was stuffing it, putting a mask on, and then afterwards it was, I'm stuffing it, and then I'm putting booze on top of it, right? So when we get out of treatment, or we're newly sober and say we didn't go to treatment or whatever it is, we get all those feelings back, man, the good ones and the bad ones. And we don't know how to cope with that. We don't know how to deal with that. We don't know how to respond to that kind of stuff. When I'm used to running, I'm used to drinking, I'm used to snorting something just so I don't have to feel that. And when I get sober, I have to feel all of that, the good and the bad. And it's hard to regulate that if I haven't done some kind of prep work. You know, if I don't have some kind of program in place, some kind of tool that I can reach for to deal with that, you know, and I've seen it, you know, working in treatment, I've seen it so many times, guys just going through the motions of, you know, I got 14 days left. It's like, bro, like you're looking at this all wrong, man. It's like, take advantage of the time that you're here instead of just watching the clock.
Yeah.
You know, and just waiting to get out of here so you can get back to living life. We want you to get out and get back to living your life, but you don't know how to live life yet. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the issue. That's been the issue your whole life. You don't know how to, you have a living problem. You don't know how to live. You don't know how to live without drugs and alcohol. So we got to do something, you know, to kind of create a buffer for that, you know, to where, and we're not always going to be fully prepared.
Yeah.
But it's better to be like somewhat prepared than to be not prepared at all and just be caught off guard when something happens, because the first thing that's going to click in your head is, I don't like this. I want to put something on top of it.
Yeah.
That's where my mind would always go is, ooh, I don't like this shit. You know, fuck this. I don't want to feel like this.
Yeah.
Whether it's just a temporary feeling or whatever it is, I don't want to feel none of that shit.
You know, and what I like, kind of going back to what I was talking about, like the prep work. You know, in AA, you hear a lot of the times like, "This too shall pass."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I knew what that meant for a long time, right? I knew what that meant. You know, just hang on, it's going to pass. But
man, it seems like forever.
It seems like forever, and I would be this fucking tornado.
Yeah.
Just Yeah, it's going to pass. I get what you're saying. It's going to pass, but I'm still just freaking.
When you're in the
out.
middle of it, you ain't trying to hear that shit.
Yeah, and these feelings are going, and that was one of the things that, through while I was in treatment and kind of got heavy into Dharma and refuge, and I really looked a lot at, they taught me a lot about the impermanence and the suffering and being able to understand those. We have to prepare ourselves to be able to understand emotions.
So for the people that don't know what impermanence is, can you explain just in a general way of what impermanence is?
Yeah, just, everything in this life, everything, no matter what it is, if you stop and think about it, everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
Friendships, jobs,
This coffee,
marriage.
yeah.
Some you might stay married forever until one of you pass away. There's always a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
No matter what the situation is, right? One day this podcast will end.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in this life. So, I got to look at it from a different perspective like that. You know what I mean? Something that I wasn't ever taught that through AA.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was always, like I said, it was the "this too shall pass" and all the slogans you hear in AA, but there was no substance to it. Like,
No depth and weight.
right. So through the refuge program, it goes very in depth in a lot of different things, but that was one of the things that I really, really tried to study and learn, because I was terrible at controlling my emotions. Like, I would just,
Yeah.
and still to this day, when something's going on, especially the ones that are closest to me, they can see it. You know what I mean? But I'm not spiraling
Yeah.
and freaking out like I would in the past. And now I can I'm able to sit there with it, whether they're good, and it's kind of about not getting too high and not getting too low.
Mm-hmm.
Because the good feelings can be dangerous as well. We can let those turn into something
Yeah.
dangerous for us if we're not careful. So that's why I try to not, like I said, not get too high, not get too low. I'm able to understand whatever the situation is. I can stop and sit in it, and I know I'm gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm able to feel it today, though, because that's what I promise you, you're gonna feel everything.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, and like my wife, sometimes she's like, "You're too calm. You're too," you know what I mean? And it's just how I choose to live that way today. I get a choice in how I respond and how I react
Yeah.
to situations in life today. And I choose to not let other situations
Have power over
have
you.
the power and dictate my actions and what I'm going to do. I don't do it perfectly at all. I come to you and I'll be like, "Motherfuckers," and this,
Yeah. I do the
but,
same shit.
I
I do the same thing.
I do the best I can with it. I have people I can go to when I get to those situations to where, just sitting in it, when I'm like, no, I need to get this out. And so I got to talk. I have people I can go to today. And that's part of the prep work too, is building that support group
Yeah.
and having people in your life that you can do that with.
Yeah. So we need people that are going to tell us the truth. We need people that are honest, And when I say tell you the truth, like, it doesn't mean they have to be an asshole, but that's like a real friend to me. Someone's like, "Hey man, you're wrong," or "You're fucking up," or "Man, maybe you're looking at that the wrong way." Instead of just co-signing my BS all the time, just, "Oh yeah, it'll be okay," and then go around and tell somebody else, "Man, he's fucked up." It's like, no, tell me. Tell me. I need to know, all right? Because I'm going to tell you, so I need you to tell me. It's the whole, am I my brother's keeper saying or whatever. It's like, that's who I want in the trench with me, is someone that's going to hold me accountable, but also when I'm doing good, tell me, hey man, you did a good job with that, or whatever it is. That's just being a good friend.
Yeah.
It's not real friendly, in my opinion, to co-sign somebody's bullshit. I think when Jace was on here, he was talking about, he looks at it like, I'm not going to walk someone to their grave. And when he said that, I was like, man, that's the truth, man, because I used to like idea shop, or like try to get someone, like I'm going to talk to 15 people in AA, and eventually someone's going to co-sign.
As long as
one of them co-signs it, it's like, yeah, man, it's okay for you to steal. And we're like, yeah, cool. All right, perfect. I'm coming to you from now on for all my issues, right? Even though the last 14 people told me that I need to go make amends and pay that money back, but I'll keep asking. And we see this all the time. People do this. So, hey, man, what do you think? Should I be taking these? Is it okay to take Xanax? I'm like, no, you probably shouldn't be taking Xanax. It's like, oh, okay. Hey, do you think it's okay for me to take Xanax? Like, I have seen this conversation take place. I've been a part of it. Yeah. And I'm like, as soon as I said no, got turned around, looked at someone else, said, hey, what do you think about Xanax? Do you think that's a relapse? And I was like, bro, like, come on. Yeah. But I mean, that's just I don't know, something that you said that kind of made me, and it's important to bring up, right, is that you said we're going to feel all these things, good and bad. Bad, or the good ones can be bad, right? So it's almost like, especially early on, if I'm not prepared, everything's a potential landmine. Because whether it's something good, somebody pats me on the back and tells me how good I'm doing, that's well meant. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's a good thing. But in my head, what I can hear is, man, you're the fucking shit. Like, your shit don't stink. Like, you just, like, yeah, you got this shit figured out, man. Like, that's how we think. When things are going good, it's just like, okay, now I can take my foot off the gas and just slow the fuck down, making a big deal out of nothing. And before you know it, I got all these good things happening in my life, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like I'm good. And then something bad happens, and I flip the fuck out. And God doesn't love me. Look what he did. It's like just crazy shit.
I've always made it so much worse. You know what I mean? Than even what things really were. It could have been bad, but I would make it worse.
Yeah.
So, the suffering of it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then just adding
mountains out of molehills.
Man, like, it's just not the way I choose to live today. And.
Like, how can I pour a little more gasoline on this fire?
Yeah.
There's got to be a way.
And something you were just talking about. We need people to tell us the truth. Like, and we do. But and you and I, like, we do. Like, if you're asking me something, I'll tell you the truth, and you'll do the same for me. But one of my favorite things that you ever did for me was
Are you really going to say this? Oh, no. I'm just kidding.
No, I did have some real life stuff going on, right? With one of my kids, and I was starting to like spiral in my head, right? And like, I remember calling you and telling you what was going on, and I was like, man, there's just some things that happen in this life that AA don't have an answer for.
Oh, I remember this.
I'm telling, like, there's not, like, it's just part of, like, it sucks. I don't know what to do. And, and that's why I remember telling you that. Mm-hmm. I would normally turn to what I need to fit, like, the program would get me through this, but there's just some things that it doesn't work for.
Yeah.
And you were just like, yeah, I mean, maybe you're right. And that's all you said. And I was just kind of like, fucking dick.
He didn't agree, but he kind of agreed. Yeah, but like, not really. Not to the extent that I wanted him to.
Nothing. He didn't, I remember we get off the phone, and then we were going to our men's group that same night. and it was my night to bring
A topic.
a topic, and I did what I know. I hit the book and found the answer to my life situation in that moment. I found the answer, and I remember getting to group, and so I started telling you guys about it, and I was like, and just the whole situation. And I just remember you were like, yeah, I knew you would. Like, I never had a doubt you would figure it out. So we have that type of relationship.
I was going to tell you if you didn't.
Right.
But, but I was like, I'm going to let you see if you can figure it out.
Yeah.
And you did. Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's always an answer in there. And it's not always the answer I want, though.
Right.
And like sometimes that's the issue. Is like, so I've had this book for, I don't know, 3.5, 4 years, and I need to get a new one. I keep saying I'm gonna get it. I have another one. True gave me one, but I like the hardcover ones. I don't like the smaller. I just don't like them. So, but I was like, I need to get another one, because what I've noticed is that because my book's all marked up, right? There's stuff written in all the margins and comments and notes and highlighter and all this stuff. It looks like a little kid's been in my book, so, and the cover's taped up and, but something I noticed one day is like, man, when I go to read in it, I automatically go to the stuff that I have highlighted, and I automatically go to my own notes. So that kind of keeps me from learning new things out of it, because I always go to the hits. I'm like, oh, this is what I need, But there's so much other stuff. And so now when I read out of it, I try to like skip over some of the stuff I have notes on. Like, I'll just read stuff that I haven't highlighted, and I find stuff. I'm like, oh, like, never really picked up on that. It's just prep time.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, I read it, do it several times a week. I don't read the whole book, but like, I'll get them to read a few pages and just kind of with wherever I'm at, But downtime is prep time, because, think about it. We both played sports growing up. If you only showed up on game day, what would your stat line look like? I've got 12 turnovers.
Or I'm there zeros because I'm riding the bench.
Yeah, right. But even if you played, it's like you're not going to be in any kind of rhythm.
Yeah.
You're not in any kind of rhythm with your teammates. Like, you haven't been getting any shots up in the gym. You haven't been dribbling the ball. It's just like, I'm just here, guys. Like, I'm here to play. We got a big game. I'm here. It's like, dude, you don't know any of the plays. You don't know, you don't know anything. Yeah. You don't have any experience coming into the game. It is. It's
our
the same
playbook.
thing. Yeah, it's our playbook.
And we, you and I, with Joe at work, like we had that, like we've done that several times, to where it's like one of us will come to each other and be like, what's the answer? I don't know. To the book. And we'll find this motherfucker. Like,
it doesn't usually take very long either.
No, it's pretty cool how it works, though.
Yeah. What I was saying is, like, we don't always, the answer is not always what we want. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like, oh, it's me? I'm being selfish. Fuck. That sucks.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something earlier. You were talking about, like, we have these choices now. I was on the phone with you earlier, and earlier this morning, and I was telling you about a resentment that I had. Mm-hmm. Caught one last night. You're like, how'd that thing go? I caught a resentment. So I was like, I was there 15 minutes, caught a resentment, and I was talking to you about it, and but the way that I dealt with it last night is, I don't know, for maybe a half an hour, I was irritable and I was resentful, and I was just like, the fuck, man? Like, this is some BS right now. This is some bullshit. And then, but my wife even, she could tell, like, I'm thinking I'm putting this, I wear my emotions on my sleeve now. Like, I didn't used to, but now I do. Since I got sober, like, anyway, you can see it. It's written on my face when something's wrong. Mm-hmm. She was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm irritable. Like, I just flat out said it. I didn't try to deny it. I didn't try to say, oh, nothing's wrong, no. Like, something that I've learned through the prep work is that I need to talk about this stuff. I need to be honest about it instead of just carrying it around, because if I just carry it around, I'm going to stay that way. I was like, I'm irritated. She's like, at what? And I told her what I was irritated at. And then after doing that, I went outside to hit my vape, said a quick prayer, God, remove this from me. Came back in. About 5 minutes later, I was able to just enjoy the time. Like, it was just gone. It was like, wow, like, it's gone, But, and then when you called me today, I was like, I'm still going to tell somebody about it. I'm not going to go in a meeting and share about it.
Right.
But I need to talk to my brother about it. Like, this is, because you asked me how it went, and I was just, I could have left that out, but why? The only reason I would have left that out is because my ego, like, well, I don't want him to think I'm Mr. Sober and I've been sober 5 years, and like, what's he going to think if I get a resentment? Fuck that.
Yeah.
I get them, so
we're human.
And that's okay. Like, we're not always going to handle everything perfectly, right? Because we don't know when it's coming, but I still knew how to handle it. I sat in it for a few minutes and was like, you know what? I'm choosing to stay this way. Because I was. It's like, I can just let this shit go. It's over with. It's not that big of a deal. Like, just let it go. Move the fuck on. And I did.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to, have we done the work up to the situation, whatever the situation is. Some are going to be easier than others, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with, the support group is huge. It's really hard to do a 10-step without a support group, because one of the instructions in it is that we talk to somebody about what's going on.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to do it without doing that. So, but we're blessed, man, really. We work with other addicts and alcoholics, and I mean, like, at our work. I'm not talking about like sponsorship, but downtime is prep time. Like, especially like if you're in treatment, take advantage, man. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like the times that I've been in treatment, like, the days go by, the days are really long.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, we do shit to ourselves. It's like, I'm going to make it longer because I'm just going to do nothing.
They're long, but they're quick at the same time.
Yeah, it's like when it's over, you're like, damn, that went by quick.
Yeah.
But it's like we do it to ourselves because we sit there and don't just squander the opportunity. Like, we just don't do shit and then wonder why, man, this is the longest day ever. It's like, yeah, you're not doing nothing. Right. It's like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
It's like, just get involved.
And that's a good time to, perspective is huge, and that's a good time for, anybody who's listening that maybe somebody's struggling and they're thinking about going to treatment. Like, and if you do, like, use that time to work on these type of things, like being able to change your perspective. Because when you're sitting in those long ass groups all day long and you're doing groups for 9-10 hours of the day, like, it's real easy to get in that mindset of like, this sucks, man.
Yeah.
Another group, another
underwater basket weaving again.
Right. But just being able to change that perspective is huge, and because we can always do that and see the positive, no matter what the situation is, so, and that's something I still work on to this day. I try to do that as best as I can, so.
I mean, that day that you're in treatment, if you're looking at it this way, right? Like, I don't want to be here today. That day you're in treatment is another day that you're not harming somebody, that you're not harming yourself, that you're not digging the hole deeper, so, and we got to think about, like, why do we go to treatment? Like, what's the purpose, right? Well, there's a couple reasons why we go to treatment. Like, one of them, we got to get detoxed.
Chase girls.
You got to find the love of your life.
Right.
find someone to start a rap career with.
Right.
So yeah, so there's these, like, first thing first, we got to get detoxed, right? But after that, we got to start building some kind of foundation of doing things differently. Like a structure or a building, whatever it is only as strong as its foundation, right? The foundation's weak, it's coming down, man. Like this house, if it's not built on a solid foundation and a storm comes through, it's blowing over. So we got to get a good foundation, and that's practice time. Start dealing with things like, oh, I got to be in a group with some guy I don't like. Well, guess what? There's going to be some guy at your job you don't like. There's going to be a neighbor you don't like. There's going to be some asshole driving his car like a maniac you don't like. Like, there's all these situations that we can get some reps in there. How to respond to things differently.
Yeah.
Like, don't just go off your shoot from the hip on everything, like just blindly react on emotion. Like, that's one of the key things that we learn there, or, well, whether we learn it or not depends on the individual if they actually do it. But one thing that you have an opportunity, I should say, to learn about is like your emotional regulation, like how to respond to your emotions. Because, dude, in treatment, them emotions, it's a roller coaster, man. It's from 1 minute to the next. It's, I'm happy, so glad I'm getting sober. Next minute, you're like, I might AMA out this bitch. Yeah. Like, fuck this, man. Like, tacos again. I'm tired of eating tacos. All they have is nacho cheese Doritos. This is bullshit. The Mountain Dew's out. And the shit that people complain about in there. It's like, man, really? Like, you coming out of the gutter, and you're worried about chocolate chip cookies. All they got's oatmeal raisin. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Yeah. Like, shut up.
I think that was probably like the most early on, before the step work started. That was like the most important thing that I did this go around that I had never really done before in the past, was while I was in treatment this time, like you said, started on that foundation. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's like, for me, the way, like I'm glad you brought that up, but like my foundation started to build while I was in treatment, right? And it started with being involved. Like, I didn't know how to talk to people. I learned how to communicate with people while I was
Think about that, though. Like, you were in sales.
I know.
And you don't know how to talk to people.
Right. Because I was high,
Yeah, right, yeah.
I could talk to you when I'm under the influence.
Right, yeah.
But sober, I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't like talking to people. I didn't know what to say. You know what I mean? I didn't know what do I do with my hands? It's like, I didn't. Right. I didn't know. So I learned how to communicate, like healthy communication with people. That's where I started building this relationship with God. Mm-hmm. That's where I was like, okay, I'm going to do something different this go around. So I started practicing and working on this relationship with God. And then, I was able to start building a support group from guys that I was in treatment with, and even staff members. Mm-hmm. When I got out of treatment, and the group of guys that I had, several of them worked at that treatment center, and still to this day have good friendships with. And, I started building that foundation, and then I got out of treatment and immediately got to work and started strengthening that foundation even more through the 12 steps. Mm-hmm. To really be able to start building up from. Yeah. So I had to really, every other time I'd been to treatment, man, it was
checking a box.
I was just there about trying to have fun.
Checking a box.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I did.
Well, for me, it was like, I know I want to go get sober, but at the end of the day, I was more worried about laughing with, with the guys and
Right.
hitting on girls and just, I wasn't focused on what I should have been focused
Yeah,
on.
leave them girls alone, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what we mean by do something different. It's not like,
Right.
well, my girlfriend at home or my wife is a brunette, so I'm going to go after a blonde while I'm in here.
Yeah.
That's not what we mean by do something different.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, I'm going to go take another hostage.
Yeah.
No, that's God put her in my life. It's like, come on, man. Leave that girl alone.
Right.
I don't know. Like, there's, when you build a house, I've never built a house, but I'm pretty sure you don't start with the roof.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't really make too much sense, so why would this be any different? It's like there's a certain procedure that you follow when you build a house.
Yeah.
I would think. I've never built one, but I would think like there's certain order of operations that you do. It's just like, and you follow those steps in sequence, just like we do with our program. When we do a fifth step, at the instructions at the end of the fifth step is that, when returning home, we review the 5 proposals that we've already done. So basically, we're looking over our work so far to see if the foundation is solid, right? We don't just start. Now, if my foundation is shaky in any of those, like in 1 through 4, it could be with my 4th step. Maybe I left a bunch of stuff off of it intentionally because I want to keep some secrets, right? About secrets, right? It's like the secret isn't what keeps me sick. It's the fact that I'm lying about it and that I'm keeping it a secret is what keeps me sick, So, but what I'm saying is like, we got to go back to, we have to like really look over that stuff. Like, do I really believe that I'm powerless over alcohol or drugs? And do you think my life really depends on doing this work? Am I willing to believe that there's something out there that can help me? Am I ready to let that something work in my life? Did I leave anything out? Was I honest? Was I thorough to the best of my ability? And then if I can answer yes to that, then I'm on firm ground, right? I'm good, right? I can keep going. But there's no point to keep going there if I don't believe that I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
If I really think, if there's some notion in my head that one day this is going to be different. They say once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. And that's true, because once you develop that allergy, so an allergy, right, to alcohol or drugs or any allergy, peanuts, whatever, shellfish, penicillin, any of that stuff. Once you have it, you have it. It's not like, oh, well, my life's back together now, so I can go back to eating peanuts. Doesn't work that way, right? Like, it just doesn't work that way. That would sound ridiculous, right? If Joe's allergic to peanuts, right? He's allergic to like everything apparently. Yeah. So I was going to say something, but I'm not going to. But so if he came up to us one day and was like, hey, man, I haven't had a peanut in like 2 years since that thing almost killed me. Let's go get some peanuts. What do you think? Or I'm gonna have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Be like, you're fucking nuts, dude. Like, what are you doing? I've done the work though. I went to 90 meetings in 90 days. So therefore, I am no longer allergic to peanuts. That's insane.
Yeah.
Right? But we do the same thing with alcohol or drugs. It's like, man, my life's good now. Like, I can go back to that. How is that any different?
I've tried it.
I have too. I have too, and I've failed. Just like,
Yeah.
But now I can look back and see, like, that's really crazy.
Yeah, that's the insanity. of it.
Yeah, like that is so insane. Like if someone said something like that to me, I'd be like, dude, like, you need to be like locked up somewhere. Like, you're a danger to yourself. Like, but in my head, it sounds normal because it's in my voice. you know, that's the thing. Like, if it was in your voice, I might be like, stranger danger.
Yeah.
Fuck out of my head. You know, what are you talking about? You know, but it's in my own voice telling me I can go do it. That's the, like, this insidious part of it, is that this obsession is craziness, right? It's an obsession is a thought that overrides all other thoughts. It doesn't go away, like, on its own. Like, it just doesn't go away. Then go away because I watched a cool documentary on Netflix. You know,
Yeah.
but I mean, just I'm going off on a tangent now.
Yeah.
But
you know, I just, you know, things have evolved over these years for me. You know, as far as like the downtime, early on especially, it was like, you know, every waking second of every day when I was in the madness was about the next one, getting the next one. And that's how I had to approach getting sober. Like, I took advantage of all the downtime I had, even outside of treatment, especially early on. And things have evolved since then. And now it's like, I spend a lot of, like, even in my downtime, yeah, I can do some reading and stay in prayer and meditation, and, you know, still making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? But I find myself, like, I do a lot of, like, when it comes to meditation, just, I don't know why I brought this up. It was just something that it was just recently, you know, we went on this trip to Gatlinburg, and, you know, I'm got this 4-hour drive right ahead of us, and I did 4 hours there and 4 hours back, and never turned the radio on one time.
really,
And
like a
you
boss.
know, my wife is sleeping in the passenger seat, and I took that time to just be present and in the moment the whole time. And, you know, and at first I didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? But then after a couple hours, I was like, man, I got the radio on. But I was like, I'm not going to turn it on. I'm going to be here and be present. And, you know, that's meditation for me, is driving, and in the silence, though. And people are probably like, what a weirdo.
You're the guy swerving around on the road, not paying attention.
But I mean, dude, you know, just, you know, making sure I'm in the present, man, has been huge for me too. You know, that's something that's very important for me. And, you know, it's just, things evolve over time, but like you said, the prep work is what it's all about, especially for all, you know, we always have to stay in that, you know, doing the prep work in the downtime, but early on especially, you know, we have to approach this thing just like we did to get the next one.
Yeah, and it doesn't really seem like work now. So I don't want someone listening to this that is like newly sober thinking that we're painting this picture that we just sit around all day with our book open and reading out of the book. You know, it's like, that's not what we're saying. But it's saying, like, we just, after a while, it just becomes a working part of your life.
Yeah.
To where things that we do, like, you're going to the Talbot House next week to speak. I'm speaking at the Pigeons Roost tomorrow. Like, these are just things that we do when called upon, you know, and that enlarges our spiritual life, whether it's sponsoring somebody new, doing this, you know, getting people on here and have them tell their stories, like all these, and we learn things, like learn new little tricks to the trade, you know, like, oh, I never thought about that before. Maybe I want to try doing that, you know, or whatever it is, you know, whether it's going to meetings or like all these things are practice that we have to do, you know, but it's not, I just don't want to paint the picture that we're just constantly doing something recovery, but we practice it. This is not just recovery. Like, this is just our life. Like, the recovery is part of our life.
it's
that's just
because
what we do.
we still try to, like I said, practice all these principles in all my affairs.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was thinking about that too on the way over here. Because thinking we never know what we're going to talk about when we
No.
come in here.
No.
We just kind of roll with it.
He walked in there like, you got something? I was like, kind of was hoping you did.
Right. Like
But,
we don't.
well, we'll find something.
Yeah, we don't know, but that was something I was thinking about too. Is like, man, we do so much more. We have so much more going on in our lives today than like I don't live in meetings. I don't.
No.
Like you said, I don't just sit there and read the big book every day, all day long.
Right.
But I still apply this to my life daily. I've done the prep work.
It's like a working knowledge.
Yeah.
Of just what's in it. Like, don't have to know every single thing that's in it, but like there are some key things that I need to know. There's some must in there, like some things that I need to know that I must do this. I must enlarge my spiritual life if I want to stay ahead of this thing.
Yeah.
And I want to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
I was telling you before we got started that I left the gym today. I went to Rooster's to get some chicken. After I left it, and I sat at the bar. I was going to eat some chicken real quick.
How dare you?
I know, right? Why you look so thirsty? But no, I'm just sitting there for like a half an hour watching the NBA playoffs, and it dawned on me like I didn't even notice the alcohol. Like I'm just sitting there waiting for my food, and then I didn't tell you this part. BJ comes up and taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around and BJ's there. He was like, I thought that was you, man. I was like, oh, what's up? Like he was meeting his wife there to have lunch with his wife. And I was just like, oh, that's cool, man. Like we can go do shit.
Yeah.
It's just, that's what recovery is.
Yeah.
Recovery's not living in a meeting. And it might, for some people, it might be. I don't want to say that like I'm talking down on somebody.
For me, it's not. It's not what I
right. It's not what
recovery for myself.
That's a good way to put it, right? I don't want to be like, you're wrong if you do that. Like if that's what you want to do, like that's cool, But that's just not what I do, So, but I do go to some. I have a busy life.
Yeah.
Got a lot going on.
That's part of recovery is being present in that life.
Yes,
and being there for your family and doing things.
And not turning recovery into my religion.
Yeah.
To where I'm a slave to that. I don't want to be a slave to anything.
Yeah.
That's why I got sober. I'm tired of being a slave, but there are some things that I still have to do, so, but I have a solid foundation that everything's built on, it hasn't fell over yet, and as long as I keep maintaining it, it's going to stay solid.
Right.
But, that's the key now for me is I got to maintain and grow it.
Yeah.
But if I don't, then, I won't survive those trials and low spots ahead.
Yeah. Like you said, they're all coming.
They are. Like, I don't know, like the absolute arrogance of some of us, right? And I've done it, right? Just been like, I know when things, like we think that we know what's coming tomorrow. Like, I might have an idea of what I want to go on tomorrow, or what I have planned, but how often have we made plans and they just don't work out? Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, I have today. I can't live in tomorrow, can't live in yesterday. Like, I gotta live today. So that just makes life a lot easier, kind of not worrying so much about what's going on tomorrow. I just got to be prepared for whatever might happen tomorrow.
Right.
Because I don't know what it's going to be. And I might not be prepared. That's the thing. But I can be somewhat prepared. So I just think like you got to take advantage of the fact that you have another day, because shit's coming.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is. It's just
I
life,
wish-
and that's
I
just
wish
that's
it
not
was.
so, and that's not a like, that's not just sobriety.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, sobriety sucks, bad things happen. No, that's life.
Yeah.
Like this happens to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just they can afford to drink through it. We can't.
Right.
You know, unfortunately, we can't. Vape's dead.
You got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, no, man. I just think the more prepared you are, the better off you're going to be. Just you don't want to get sideswiped by something.
All right, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. Give us a like, follow,
Please,
subscribe. Anything you guys want to hear about? Inbox always open. Comment on the videos, and we will see you next time.
yes, sir.